I hardly dare show you this clip of beans, but I suppose that it's best to be honest about what happens in organic farming and the risks that there are out there. I'm looking at this field of beans, field of winter beans. The variety is Husky, and because of these very wet, cool conditions we've been having, this is just the perfect conditions for a disease called chocolate spot, and it's now gone into its aggressive phase on this crop. Just on this variety. The other varieties we've got are not so badly affected, but we've still got quite a lot of this variety. And just to show you what the aggressive phase looks like, you can see that the spots have now got all over the leaves, and they're causing even the youngest leaves to go black, and even on the flowers there's spots as well. And then when you look down here, we can see a really sort of badly affected plants down here. But to be absolutely honest, if this weather continues, this crop is going to get worse and worse and will yield potentially nothing at all. I am looking into things that we can do, but there's no information out there, no trials that suggest that any chemical that we're allowed to use actually is very effective. I'm actually looking into potassium bicarbonate, but even looking at Bordeaux mixture, which is copper sulfate, but none of those chemicals apparently do very much, but there's very little data out there. What we really want is for the breeders to start looking to breed resistant varieties. There really is very little difference between the varieties. The only difference in varieties between the winter and the spring beans. But what we need is for more research and development to go into seeing what we can do about this devastating disease that can just wipe out a crop. And as soon as they take up and start listening, it amazes me actually if you hear about the number of farmers who aren't growing beans anymore, conventional and organic, because they just don't deliver. The yields are too variable, and a protein crop, protein is what we import. We need to be sorting out our own UK produced protein, but for some reason the breeders don't seem to take it seriously and seem to be quite happy to let the crop disappear. Just to slightly cheer myself up, I've come into another crop of beans. This is a crop of a variety, a winter bean called Wizard, and although there is chocolate spot in this crop, it's nothing like as bad as in the Husky, and what you can immediately see is the crop is a lot taller and looks more vigorous. But there is chocolate spot in here, you can see it on those leaves, but at the moment it's not really on the upper leaves, the very top leaves. Obviously if this weather continues, that is going to be a problem. But at the moment it sort of seems to be resisting the disease more than Husky is, which gives me a sort of some glimmer of hope. But really the weather forecast for the rest of this week is very similar to it is today, which is overcast and dull and spitting with rain. The same weather tomorrow. Then after that hopefully it's going to dry up a little bit, but that is just the nature of farming. One stage we're whinging about it being too dry, and now we're whinging about being too wet. But I hope this clip sort of slightly explains why it is incredibly frustrating doing what we do, because when it's dry as it has been, the crops suffer, but then the weather completely changes and we get loads and loads of rain, and everyone says, oh, you must be really pleased. And yeah, we're really pleased to get some rain, but we've had enough rain, and it's when diseases like this start coming in that can really decimate any money that we're ever likely to make out of the crop.